We have three amazing speakers joining us. Moderating this evening, we have Amelia Chaplin. Amelia is a graduate of Wilfrid Laurier University and Humber College's Content Strategy Postgraduate Program. In 2018, she began working in social media at Parks Canada. In 2021, her TikTok account, I'm going to say this in Gen Z1.
It's called Gen Z Wine.
I did get that. Gen Z Wine quickly gained hundreds of thousands of views and likes. So, Amelia's an influencer. And Amelia now works in corporate content marketing in the insurance and financial services sectors. And we have two young social media enthusiasts with us today from John F. Ross High School's Arts Council. So Sharon He is a high school student attending John F. Ross. Although Sharon does not use TikTok, she's familiar with the platform through her peers and her own use of other social media platforms such as Instagram and YouTube. Sharon is particularly interested in the rapid rise in the popularity of TikTok and how her generation uses the platform to spread awareness of many global issues, some of which you saw in the film. And then we have Bonnie Tran, and Bonnie is a grade 11 student also attending John F. Ross. When Bonnie is bored, she uses TikTok as a way to pass the time and find funny videos to send her friends. Bonnie loves watching movies that put her on the edge of a seat, but also that make her cry until tomorrow. I'm with you, Bonnie. Good things. Bonnie is excited to attend this year's Guelph Film Festival and be part of the festival as a speaker. So I'm going to pass off this mic to our lovely speakers and let them take it away. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Amelia. We had a lovely intro. Thank you, Kimber. So we're just gonna talk about some questions that we sort of brought after watching the movie. And if you in the audience have anything to say, please raise your hand and we'll have an open discussion. So I did have a little bit of experience with TikTok. So I am interested to hear from your perspective as the user and also just a member of the target demographic. Did this go off? Not really sure. So the first question I was just kind of thinking about is, so you are in high school, obviously. And I was wondering how the trend cycles impact you at school. Do you feel like your peers and yourself are really impacted by your consumer habits are really impacted by TikTok? It's kind of a big question, but I guess I'm just wondering what it's like to be in high school and have this going on in terms of what's cool.
I feel like everyone at my school uses TikTok. Even though Sharon herself doesn't use TikTok, she uses Reels. There are TikTok videos on Instagram, and it's everywhere, and everyone in my school uses it. And then also teachers are also aware of it as well, even the trends.
Yeah.
Earlier we were talking about devious lick, right, which is a trend on TikTok. And I remember going into school, and then my teacher was just on the blackboard, he wrote oh, what is this TikTok trend going on, things like that. So I feel everyone feels
yeah. Okay, so just so everyone's aware of what we're talking about, so there was this trend a while ago called devious licks, where basically people were just stealing random items from the school, really non-interesting items, the school's
soap dispensers,
dispensers and things that were just kind of otherwise not important. And it apparently was causing a real issue. You walk into school and all of a sudden the soap dispensers are gone. That's a problem. Yeah. Okay. So that's a good point to talk about. I guess I'm also wondering just about, so there's all this talk of Gen Z being the target audience and the core people that TikTok is meant for. And I'm wondering, in high school, because the trend cycles move so quickly, do you feel there's a lot of pressure to buy into these things?
Yeah, I would say there's definitely a lot of pressure when it comes to fashion. I know for sure there's definitely like really like micro trends when it comes to fashion, like pieces that will be like super viral for like maybe a week or two, and then in a couple months it'll be like archaic. And it's crazy how fast it moves, and there's definitely a pressure when something's like at the peak of popularity to buy into it and kind of fit in, I guess.
Yeah, that's such a good answer, because like I can think of specific items that went like super popular for like 3 months, and it hasn't even been that long. It's been like a year or two, and I'll see them in public and I'm, oh my gosh,
Yeah, it
it's an
seems like a blast
archive.
from the past. Like it's crazy.
It's not an old item. Okay, so there was a scene in the film where there's a father who's in litigation with TikTok, and he's talking about, like all the things that he's fighting for, and that he really can't even keep his own son off of the platform. So I guess I was just kind of wondering, do you feel like you at your age that you kind of like have the option to be on social media, or is it kind of a necessity for you to are there social ramifications from not?
I feel like everyone has social media these days, so it's like if you don't, like it's really easy to feel left out on things. Like I feel like conversations these days like are sometimes started by like what we see online. And like if you're not like on social media and like seeing these trends, like it's really easy to feel left out and be like, oh, like what's going on? Like what are you talking about? Like things like that.
Like it's a core point of reference
Yeah.
for you. Oh, wow, that was loud.
Yeah, even like when it comes to communication, like I have not picked up a phone call and like I've just never picked up a phone call. So
Yeah.
like if you want to reach me, the easiest way is definitely through social media. So I think if you don't have social media, it's much harder to stay connected with the people around you. Like when it comes to like peers, like I don't know about like the older generation, but when it comes to like people our age, I think it's much easier to stay in contact through social media. Just because like I guess since we're always connected and like we can always like send videos like TikToks or Instagram Reels or like YouTube Shorts, I think it's much easier to like connect with others like through social media, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I feel like I'm a zillennial, which means I'm in between Gen Z and millennial. It's like a micro generation. But I feel like when I was in high school, it was very much like 50-50. Like you could be on Instagram, but you very well could not be, and it was fine socially. So that's good to know.
I think that's definitely changed now because most people are on social media now.
Yeah, because like he's the lawyer spoke to it, but he can't even get his own son not to be on this app. He knows is violating all of his privacy. So okay, that's good to know. So the next question is sort of about data collection. So the film talks about this a lot, but basically we know that all of these companies are collecting ludicrous amounts of data about us. But it kind of feels like there's only the problem when the app isn't American. And I guess I was just kind of wondering how you guys feel as younger people about how data privacy is framed. Sorry, this is becoming a long question. Basically how data privacy is like talked about when it's not an American company. Do you guys care about your data privacy? How do you feel about that?
I feel like we're all aware that like social media like tracks what we do. I
don't care. Yeah. No, the son even spoke to that. He's like, what am I gonna do about it? Like
I think it's because like we don't see like they're like it's not like evident, like it's not like in front of our eyes. Like we don't care that much, but like if like we see like, like what they're doing or like we'd be like more kind of like scared kind of.
Yeah. No, I was talking about this earlier, but I had a moment the other day where I was at Old Navy and they asked me if I wanted an email receipt, and I was like, oh no, thank you. And I didn't give any information. And as I was walking out of the store, I get an email that's like your recent purchase. And I was like, I didn't tell them anything at the till. Like they just knew, and it freaked me out. And it was a bit of a reminder that there's tons of info that you might not know is being collected about you. So yeah. Okay, so at one point in the film, we see a clip of Mark Zuckerberg where he's talking about he says TikTok is the biggest threat to democracy right now. So I guess that was an interesting statement from him, but I guess I'm just wondering, to what extent do you guys feel, I need to stop saying you guys, do you feel social media is a space for free speech? Do you feel like it's truly a space for free speech? Like, yeah, that's kind of a big question too.
Yeah, I guess me personally, I feel like it's not really an area for free speech anymore. Just because everything's controlled by like a private company, right? So as much as you might want to think it's free speech, at the end of the day, it's the private company and like the executives who make the decisions on what gets shown to people. So if they don't agree with what you say, you're off the platform, like, or maybe like shadow ban, like they said it in the film or in the documentary. So you're not completely banned, but your voice just doesn't get out there as much.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Oh, geez, there are those questions. I was gonna say, with the shadow banning thing, that's something that I feel like is very unique to TikTok. Like there is an illusion of democracy on TikTok because you don't have to seek out content, it's given to you. So there's an illusion that it just comes from wherever, and it's like it's completely free, but it's definitely not the case. Like I know for me, I've posted videos before where I can tell automatically that it's not going to get pushed out, like that it's something has been triggered in the back end. I've said something and it's gonna go nowhere. Where another video that's very similar and based on I don't know what, like what transparency is not there. So I have no idea what category I've ticked to not get it to go out, but other videos that are very similar will get like 250,000 views, and I'm like, okay, but why? So anyway, that's pretty much the extent of our questions. I was wondering if anybody has a question. We would all be happy to answer any questions. I don't know if there are any about TikTok or okay, it looks like that is it. That was a good little question hour. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate, as a professional content marketer, I appreciate your insight, selfishly, but yeah, thank you. All right, thanks everyone. Oh, do you have a question? I think I skipped. So the question was, did anybody look at it through the lens of diction? So are you referring to like trends in diction or what? Oh, addiction. Yeah. Sorry, I can't hear from there. I thought you meant like vocabulary. It's probably also relevant. Yeah, that's a good question. Do you have any answer?
Sorry, what was the question?
The question was, like through a lens of addiction, are you referring to like being addicted to the app, or are you referring?
Yeah, like I think I'm on it like almost every single day. Like I feel like it's such a distraction for me. Like whenever I'm like doing work, like I get distracted so easily, and I'm like when I'm on my phone, like just see myself like scrolling through TikTok like forever and ever. And so like it's definitely like
no,
that's like that's
I would say that I am like, unfortunately, it's an impulse. Like when I was watching this film, I was taking breaks to watch. Not here, but earlier. So I needed to pause to entertain my secondary brain cells. But yeah, how do you feel? Do you feel like you're not on TikTok, so you use other social?
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's the same concept where it's like, you're like, oh, it's only a couple seconds because this clip's only a couple seconds. I'll just watch one. And then you're like, it just goes to the next one and you just keep going. And then, yeah, it's an addiction, I guess, because it's just like, they're such simple videos, but they're like, it can be funny. They can just bring you out of a bad day, really. So I think every day going on it, it just becomes part of your routine and it does become an addiction, I think.
Part of your habits. Yeah, that's so true because it is such short videos. You can just do it in between things. Like, okay, I'm walking in between two buildings. I'm just gonna whoop. Yeah, that's a good point.
And also it's the fact that like TikTok itself like is so catered towards a certain individual and like their interest. So like when you're like watching TikTok videos and like they're so catered towards you, like it's really easy to like keep on scrolling. because they have like videos that are like obviously meant for you.
Yeah.
So it's like hard to.
We didn't see it in this version of it, but because the subtitles weren't on, but at one point, the creator of TikTok mentions like his goal was to create a TV channel that's only stuff you want to watch. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's
That's-
exactly, it's
Oh my
working.
God, it is.
Yeah, so. Yes.
No, but I do have a related, I used to be a daughter. And, so when I used to go to school in December, it sounds so lame and pain, but gravel, in the gravel. And I sort of like, it feels like it's small. And that's so weird, it's like, okay, I worked really hard, now you can travel.
She's very into Scrabble.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would recommend Scrabble, there's no making
No comment. Yeah.
I'm just curious because you can put limits on your phone, right? That's something high school do or that you so you have time to do your.
Yeah. That's really interesting because for me, I use Instagram and I actually have a limit that I like. There's this like feature you can put on your phone, like how many minutes you spend on a certain app. So on Instagram specifically, I have like a 15-minute limit. So like when I find myself like extending that 15-minute, there's gonna be like a notification that tells you like, oh, it's been 15 minutes, like. And then there's also a choice where like you can be like, okay, ignore, or like, okay. And I always find myself ignoring it. So I feel like, yeah, the limit is there, but it's so easy to just ignore it. So I feel like it's not effective personally for me, even though I know it's like there. Yeah.
I would say, I think it's decently common, but it's also just as common to just ignore it and kind of move on. But I think people are starting to get like a little bit more conscious of monitoring screen time now. Yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to like disconnect more now, especially over COVID, since we've been like so connected to our screens. A lot of people have been taking that step back. But since it is an addiction, it is very hard to kind of log off, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know if this is on. Is it on? Okay, great. Yeah, it's complicated for me too because I work in developing corporate content. I like to an extent I would like to log off at certain times, but I'm like forever logged in. I'm always if you were to look at my Facebook, I will never show as off because I'm always in doing like for work. So yeah, it's interesting to think about with what extent you at this age you can choose that. But we were talking earlier about potentially going into marketing and content marketing and yeah. So yeah. I'm just going to repeat the question for the recording. So the question was, when you spend more time on TikTok or any social app, I'm assuming in 1 week, do you feel more or less connected to your peers?
That's a really good question. So for me, when I'm on TikTok for myself and for like my own entertainment. And yeah, there's sometimes where I would like send videos to my friends that like, like remind me of them. So I feel like in that way, like it makes me feel more connected to them since I'm like kind of connecting to them and like sending them videos. But most of the time it's just like for myself, and like there are days where like I spend like a lot of time on TikTok and I feel kind of disconnected from everyone and like from my friends and like from my schoolwork and things like that. So yeah, I think kind of like a mixture of both.
Yeah, but I also think it's like really easy to fall behind with these micro trends. So even if you miss like a week of TikTok trends, if your friends are talking about something that just happened on TikTok, you can already be falling behind and feel like less connected in that sense. So being on TikTok can like give you that sense of connection to other people.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because I feel like there are certain like trends or videos from years ago that have sort of stayed, especially from Vine, random references that people will still make. But with TikTok, what's the point of reference changes so frequently that if you're not like continually on it, you are not going to have a clue what's being talked about. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.